In the last section, we created our album detail component. And the purpose of this thing is to show a nice looking summary of a single album. Something like, I don't know, that right there, exactly. So the album name, the artist name, some artwork cover image thing, and then the buy now button at the bottom. So this is the intent. This is what we're going towards. So before we get started on this, I want to kind of come up with a game plan on exactly how we're going to design and build this component right here. There's two different and distinct methodologies that we can take for building this. First, we might make a single kind of mega component, something that's going to, in one component, render this entire card right here. So we might end up with some JSX that looks like this right here on the right hand side. We'll have this kind of top level view for the overall card, like the border that really goes along the outside. And then we'll have 3 blocks inside of that, one for each section inside the card. And the purpose of like this view and right here that's going to contain the image and 2 text things, the purpose of this view right here will to have some nice styling to make sure there's kind of like margin between the text and some nice like border here at the bottom between the image and the header. And this view, same thing, will have like a nice border and blah blah blah, nice border on there. So we'll have one single mega component that has all these different things to it, and most importantly, has all the styling associated with the overall card inside of this single component. Okay, so that is approach number 1. That is one direction we can go. Now, an alternative layout that we can take, something that's just a little bit different, and I know this looks nearly identical, but there is a very subtle difference. One different approach we can take is to make 2 reusable components that we will use inside of the album detail. So the 2 reusable components that we'll make are the card component and the card item component, or card section. That might be a reasonable name as well. The purpose of the card and card section components will be to just have some amount of, or just a component that will have some amount of built-in styling. So we will have styling that has the nice border that goes along the outside. It will have some nice margin to fit the content inside of it. And basically, you get the idea. It's going to have some nice styling that we are not going to locate inside of the album detail component that we've already created. Now, why might we do this? Why might we take this approach? Well, pretty much for what I just said. We'll have separate files, the card and the card item, that will just know how to show some amount of content inside of it, but most importantly, it will be a reusable component that will have really nice styling associated with it. So if we were writing if we were writing vanilla HTML and CSS here, this might be just like a very fancy div or something like that we can swap out different detail in the future, like different image, different button, and still have a nice like card thing that looks really good. So I think that is the direction that we want to go. I want to make a card component and a card item, or we might call it card section, that will both be reusable, and all they're going to do, there's not going to be any fancy logic inside them, anything like that. The only purpose of the card and the card item is to have some nice styling associated with putting this card together here. So if this sounds a little bit strange, like, Stephen, why are we making these extra components? What is the point of this? Trust me, once we start putting the styling together, once you see the amount of styling it takes to get something that looks good, you're going to say, okay, yep, the good idea. Like, making this reusable is a fantastic idea, so we don't have to rewrite all these styling rules again in the future. That is the whole idea here. I want to just save out on the amount of styling we have to write. So let's get started on these in this section. Let's start building this card component and this card item. And I really don't like the name card item. I think we might rename it to card section. We'll see what happens. Anyways, let's get started by making the card component. So again, a new component means a new file. Inside of my components directory, I'll make a new file called simply card.js. And then inside of here, we'll put together our usual boilerplate. I will import React from React. I don't want to import React Native, I just want a Vue. So I'll import Vue from React Native. And let's do const card. And for right now, we'll just return a Vue tag. And I'm going to leave it open, so we will get a ESLint error here about it needing to be self-closing, but that's okay. We're going to fill something in here in just a while. And at the bottom, we'll do our export default card. Cool. Okay, so again, just to be clear, the sole purpose of this component right here is just to make something with some nice styling that looks like a card. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. Let's continue with this in the next section.